a beautiful caterpillar cocooning to become an even prettier butterfly.
Gay.
So much for the reclaim the rainbow. That's just going back to the homosexuals. You heard it here first, folks.
Now, the only people allowed to reclaim the rainbow are the Hawaii State Warriors.
Who are they?
College football team that were once called the Rainbow Warriors, but in the late 80s, early 90s, they rebranded because gay.
Did they rebrand cuz gay?
Yeah.
And they're just the Warriors now?
I believe so.
Whatever. How does Hawaii even play football?
On a field, dumbass.
I'm saying, do they take a plane to every... no one's like, all right, let's go to Hawaii for today's game. Is there a stadium there?
I'm not looking it up, but I can guarantee you that they do take planes to and from Hawaii for games. Are you telling me that, for a weekend, a football team of college kids wouldn't be like, hey, we're going to Hawaii for the weekend to play? You might also get some poon!
But there's no home games then.
I just described a home game for Hawaii. Another team is going to Hawaii.
And I'm saying there's no stadium.
Why not?
Because Hawaii probably doesn't have one.
I think they do.
Because you're not packing the crowd then. No crowd is going to Hawaii. I've never in my life seen a sports game. I also don't watch college football. But I've never in my life been like, broadcasting live from Hawaii, we've got, and then a stadium.
Well, they have all kinds of the Major League Football season that just started, the NFL season that just started. The first game of the season, it was Eagles and Packers or something, but they played out of Spain.
Yeah, they've been doing that recently.
I think America has the drive and gumption to build an American football stadium anywhere on the planet. And only 3 countries could stop them.
3? Let's hear them. What 3 countries can stop football?
China, Russia, and Germany.
We play in Germany. We sent the Panthers to Germany.
Did we get them back?
We did. What? They were consumed, devoured by men dressed in lederhosen.
So
the boy who cried wolf ate the Panthers.
In high school, my German teacher was from Germany, and she was so pissed about the lederhosen shit because she's like, Bavaria, which is that aesthetic. She's like, Bavaria is maybe 1/8 of Germany is that culture. The rest of Germany's different cultures, different histories and stuff.
Yeah. Let's focus on that then. You're getting away light with lederhosen, lady. Let's focus on the other part of German history.
The second part of that is a friend of mine that is now bilingual, certified fluent in German, spent 2 years of college in Germany, showed up to class one day in full lederhosen with a little hat and the feather.
That's fun. That's better than the other German outfit to show up to class in.
She gave him all of these looks, and he was like, I know it's Bavarian. Guess what I'm representing? Bavaria. And then he just went and took his seat.
Nice.
He's like, I understand the cultural significance. And guess what? It's still fun. We're still allowed to have fun, German woman.
And also, again,
there's there.
Pray to your German God, your racist German God.
Der Gott.
That we remember the lederhosen and the pretzels and the beer before we remember the rest of the shit your country did.
There was a different funny shape smeared around that country.
Do you know that Hitler's speeches translated into English through an AI voice are really popular on Instagram right now?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, because his people are sympathizing with them, and they're like, "Wow, he's actually great. He had some good points," which is really funny because they're just taking everything he's saying at face value. But also, I'm scrolling through Instagram Reels, and I'm just like, "Hitler's speech? What?" And it'll just be a picture of Hitler, but it's in English.
But his voice AI generated into English. That's unfortunate for the world if that's where... Oh, God. It's bleak out here.
It's really funny. It's really funny because I'll watch him. Not because I'm like, yeah, he's making good points, but I'm just like... It's probably the most interesting thing in my immediate vicinity is the holy shit, a Hitler speech. And then that ruins your algorithm.
I was about to say, the algorithm knows you're stopping at those.
Yeah, I know it does. And my algorithm's been cooked for a while, but now it's something else, dude. My algorithm's fucked on everything. Even this.
Yeah. The algorithm is what we pull from that box.
Yeah, that's bad.
We
I hope
did
there's
pull
no
some
Hitler
shit.
speeches in there.
Well, we can't be certain. I can't remember all 80 DVDs in that box. Probably 70. I think you took one, so this is probably only 79.
I took one? Anything I took, I replaced.
Oh, did we trade like
We
Yu-Gi-Oh
did.
cards?
I did, to make sure that the boxes stayed even.
Okay.
I don't remember what I took. Oh, it was a Jean-Claude Van Damme
Yeah,
DVD.
I remembered what it was, but I don't remember you putting anything in the box. What did you curse me
I
with?
don't remember. Probably some garbage.
It's probably
Probably-
some bullshit like The Perfect Getaway.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of KAFM. This week is a Goodwill Grab Bag, which, if you don't already know, we have a box of 80 DVDs we got for real cheap, and we reach our hands into that piece of shit and pull out 2 more pieces of shit, and we watch them.
It's like cell division of shit. Also, that's John. I'm Duncan.
Welcome.
You already said that part.
And that's a cat
That's a cat.
who needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. You go away now. Be free.
He doesn't listen to you at all. Toxoplasmosis hitting in strong.
Go on.
I'm trying to remember the names of the movies we watched. This week we watched
The Perfect Getaway.
and
The Italian Job.
Remake.
The remake from 2004. 2004.
Featuring Mark Whalberg and Edward Norton and someone else. Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron, who played the dad.
The boy and Theron.
The what?
Charlize and the Theron.
Oh, you're trying to do The Boy and the Heron. Okay.
Sure. I never saw that. What I did see first was A Perfect Getaway.
With KAFM alum.
Millia Jovovofich from Resident Evil. And Steve Zahn from Rescue Dawn.
From Rescue Dawn.
Which were an episode together.
Were they an episode together? Oh,
and
no.
so then now the two of them have merged their powers to give us
Something worse.
A Perfect Getaway, which is a movie about a couple that goes on vacation to Hawaii to see their stadium and watch the Rainbow Warriors play,
They're not called that anymore.
to watch the gay football play. And it just kind of, no, they're like on a honeymoon.
Yeah, they get... So it opens with some fuzzy marriage footage, handheld camera.
Oh, yeah.
It opens with a lot of that, but you don't ever get... You see a lot of, like, the best men, the bridesmaids cutting of the cake, but you never really see... I think it's the bride holding the camera at a certain point. Like, it's always from their perspective, so you never get a clear, look at them.
And you don't think that matters. It does in about 2 hours. In about 2 hours, that's going to matter. Until then, we've got to go to Hawaii, where Steve Zahn, and Millia Jovovofich are just driving a Jeep. And they're like, boy, howdy, I sure can't wait to hike on my honeymoon.
And then they pull over to help some hitchhikers. And
A young Chris Hemsworth with a Nazi haircut.
we don't see his face right away.
Right.
He's looming. I thought that scene was shot very well. He's kind of looming outside. His wife like hops in and they're like, "Oh, we also just got married." A very free-spirited couple. Like, we just got married in a bodega.
Dirty trash people is what they look. Free-spirited couple is the nicest way to describe them. They look like just bums. Beach bums stumbling through the dirty, wet forest. Terrible honeymoon. By the way, honeymoon is we're going to go hike. We're going to go Hawaii. Sure, people do that. We're going to go hike. We're going to go walk around in the dirt.
Here's the thing. If I were to go to Hawaii, I would want to see the natural sights. If I were to go on a honeymoon and do the things that people do at like Hawaiian resorts, there are cheaper, closer places where I can get a massage, where I can go to a sauna. Like, there's a dissonance between why people go to Hawaii and what's cool about Hawaii.
I think if you looked at your wife who wanted to go Hawaii for a honeymoon, you said there's cheaper, closer places, she'd annul the marriage right there. Listen, honey, we got to start pinching pennies, all right? I'm not going to blow in the budget on Hawaii for my new bitch wife. Like, your first act as a husband is like to take her to the fucking massage place down the corner. Happy honeymoon. Welcome to rainy Seattle. Here's a sandalwood candle and jojoba oil.
I fucking hate sandalwood.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's like a classically masculine scent. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I hate sandalwood. I hate whatever the shit they smoking in church.
Frankincense?
Sure.
Myrrh?
Sure.
Lots of different incenses get used in churches.
Look, all I know
Do you
is
just not like scent?
No, I love incense. I love candles. We've got like a wall of them over
The
there.
shit they're smoking in church is incense. Holy shit, you really do have a wall of candles over there.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I love fragrances. We love fragrances. My incense burner's right here. No, did you not know that? Look behind you. There's an incense burner behind you.
What the fuck? And there's a wax melts. I asked someone if those were food once. The first time I saw them, I'm not even fucking around. They were like vanilla. I was like, oh, are these like to eat?
You already had 2 of them.
I was ready to like be like, because they had like them out, and I thought they might be samples, not displays. And I was like, oh, and she's like, that's wax. And I was like, can
I'm
I
still
eat
gonna
it?
chew and swallow it.
I've eaten wax.
Yeah, no, all I know is whatever fragrance in particular they burn in churches gives me a headache. I always get headaches whenever I go into churches. I'm like 4 for 4
You just
on
might
that.
be a demon.
Probably.
Because like it's different every time.
I am unbaptized and ginger. I am probably the devil.
Okay. That really makes hell look like a bitch if you're the devil.
Nah, it's always the one you least suspect or whatever.
Yeah. Oh no.
It's me, the devil.
Hell is full of physical media and GameStop figurines.
Nah,
Today's torture, you're going to hear about Spyro games on the Game Boy Advance.
nah, hell is a plastic pit where they mold you into Barbie.
That's probably an upgrade for me. Looking like Barbie?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So, Chris Hemsworth and his wife, I can't even remember a face. We watched this one a while ago.
This one sucks. And it has nothing to... I couldn't remember it while we were watching it.
So,
It's a blonde woman, but she looks like a dirty hippie.
so most blonde women. So they go to...
Take that.
So they stop to try and pick up these hitchhikers, and Chris Hemsworth is saying, you know, like, no, get out of their fucking Jeep, you know, like he's being an asshole.
Yeah, like the wife wants to get in the Jeep, and you immediately think Chris Hemsworth is kind of like an abusive, controlling husband. And you're like, okay, the movie's clearly framing like we're going to meet these two later. Like these are your antagonists. And this is like 20 minutes into the movie. Because it took a minute to get here. And every conversation is pretty fucking long.
There's a lot of, like, beautiful establishing shots of, oh, here is the beautiful island that they're staying on. Here's the boat they're getting on to go to another island.
They were in Hawaii, and they were like, we're going to use it. I'm assuming they filmed on location, because I don't care to look up if they didn't. It looked like an island, and that's what Hawaii is to me.
Yeah.
That's what Hawaii is to the world, too. It is defensively an island.
You would be surprised how many people would agree with you if you said Hawaii is an island. It's a chain of them, but there are islands.
Yeah. They disappear, and immediately Steve Zahn exposes his main core character trait for this movie of cucked man.
He's so cucked.
Where he's just like this dude shit talks, Chris Hemsworth shit talks his wife in front of them, and Millia is clearly like, hey, like, is she okay? And Steve's like, I'm sure they'll figure it out. You know, every couple's different. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like he doesn't rise to the occasion, and that's a trend through no matter who does what to him, he will just go, I'm sure it'll work out. Everyone's different, and just watches people just abuse people and trash him and flirt with his wife in front of him. It's pathetic.
Yeah, the other male lead that we meet after this is Timothy Olyphant, who's a sort of a guide, like a tour guide through the jungles and forests. And he makes all kinds of, not to say that he, makes eyes at Steve Zahn's wife, but there's very clearly like, oh, they're smiling and laughing together, and Steve Zahn is walking like 5 feet behind them, like, oh.
The introduction is Millia slips, and Steve jumps to catch her on this thin trail, and you see this beefy arm grab her, like flexing and vascular, and Timmy pulls her up, and he's like, do you know I have a huge penis? I'm a foot taller than your wife, and my arms are the size of his head. And she's like, you're such a sweet man. And Steve's like, thanks for saving my wife. I couldn't have done that at all. I was too scared.
He talks about being a screenwriter, which, but all kinds of, like, whenever Steve Zahn is asked a question, he'll get 3 words out before Timothy Olyphant interrupts him to be like, well, I think. And
he just goes with it. He's never like, hey, buddy, let me talk, let me do anything.
You asked me a question, Buster.
And so it's really hard. They're sort of splitting main character duty. Like, Steve's definitely the more the focal point, but the two of them are a couple, and it really makes for a pathetic time.
It's awful.
Because you quickly learn that on one of these islands in Hawaii, there's been a murder by a couple, a married couple.
Yeah, they're like, we know it's a couple.
And we know it was like in the town center, and like the dirty hippies they met were like, oh, we got married in a grocery store.
In the town center.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, shit, fuck, it's maybe them or whatever. And they're just going on this hiking adventure for their honeymoon, worried that there might be a murderer because supposedly they're hopping islands or something like that.
They meet Timothy Olyphant's
character who's ex-military, has a big knife, and again, I'm not talking about his schlong, which is also probably matching, but he's got this 12-inch serrated whatever. He introduces his naked wife, and they get naked in a pool together.
And Steve Zahn just watches.
Yeah, and he's like, oh my god, nudity, oh heavens. And his wife's like, let's get naked together on our honeymoon. Maybe that'll be fun, Steve. And he's like, I don't know, this North Face jacket's pretty tight. These cargo shorts are belted on here. I think maybe we should go hike some more in the rain. I hated him. He was so pathetic to me.
He is a pathetic.
And maybe that means it's working, but he's like your main character, but he's not doing anything. He's like really passive. He's just like, oh shit, I hope this guy doesn't fuck my wife I refuse to have sex with.
The plot is happening at him. He's not really doing anything. There's every now and then they're out in the jungle and they'll get reception every now and then, but instead of, anything at all of just getting reception, it's always tiny news feeds on their Nokia bricks that just say another couple dead.
Yeah. Still looking for murderers.
That's all they get on their phone is just news of these Hawaiian murderers. And so they start thinking, Timothy's like ex-military, he could have snapped or something.
His wife's a little weird. They're free spirits too. So then you're trying to figure out who's the murderer. And again, this is like 40 minutes into the movie because there's so many scenes of these two just walking around Hawaii. And I don't get it because the plot is pretty tight as far as like what you can do with it.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to do tense scenes, why does the movie need to be 2 hours?
It doesn't.
Like, it's just like so much of the dialogue is just like quote unquote character building, but that's not what this movie is. This isn't a study of these people.
The characters are paper thin. We understood them from their introductions.
So which two of y'all killed somebody?
Yeah, the simple answer is that, Chris Hemsworth's gonna be the fake out murderer and Timothy Oliphant's gonna be the real one, but they don't know.
Yeah, but then they're also like, but at the same time, Timmy's a nice guy. Like, he's not actually doing anything. And then it's raining.
They have all kinds of little side discussions.
And
which is like they'll go off to the side and like they'll whisper with each other. Mila and Steve will whisper. It's like, who do we think? Like, can we trust them? We shouldn't go off and deeper into the woods with them.
And then Timothy goes, "Hey, are we going?" And Steve goes, "Yeah, I'll be right with you.
My wife's pissing," which is a real scene.
And so, I mean, fuck, dude. Then rain starts raining even harder. It's already wet and kind of shitty in this place, but there's sun. Starts raining. Another just great, awesome time for a honeymoon. I don't know why that's such a hang-up for me. It just seems so stupid.
What, to go hiking on a honeymoon?
Yeah, it's just so... And I don't even hate hiking. I've been hiking. We live in the Pacific Northwest. I hike like crazy around here. But... They're
just... maybe they're a couple from the city and they want to be more outdoorsy. This is a getaway for them.
Go to the Caribbean and bang your wife for a week. On a sandy beach with the sun, no rain.
Never leave your bungalow.
Exactly. Just look and be like, the great outdoors.
Back on the bed.
So, starts raining. They got to pitch a tent. And then...
Yeah, they do.
Timothy Oliphant's like, the women will cook.
Yes.
I'm going to go hunt something for them to cook. And... his wife's like, he's so manly. And Millia's like, he kind of is. Wait a minute. And Steve Zahn's like, I don't know if that's appropriate. Are we really allowed to kill a goat in the jungle? And he's like, all right, fucking pussy. And he builds a bow and arrow. And he goes to hunt a goat.
He carves out, he's got a bow and arrow.
And so Steve goes with him. They hunt a goat. They find an FBI informant or a city police informant who's like, listen, we were following you guys because we thought you might be the murderers, but we know you're not because he was around when they rented a car. He's like a character from the beginning of the movie that I forgot about until he says, I'm from the beginning of the movie. And I was like, oh, okay.
Do you remember me? I was at the counter and handed you your keys. I had no dialogue.
So I know you couldn't have done it because something, or I'm pretty sure you didn't. And it's like, okay. He's weird though because he's a city official, but they're like, what are you doing out here? He's like, I'm here with my bitch, man. And I'm like, you're not the character to say that.
I thought that was a different scene because there's a moment Steve and Timothy are out in the woods and Steve Zahn says, we're not out here to hunt boar, are we? Or we're not out here to hunt.
Yeah. And that's when he says, no, someone's following us. And it's the city informant official, whatever the fuck he is. Anyway, they all go and realize, okay, we're okay. Let's eat a goat that Timothy Oliphant cooked or hunted. Meanwhile, Millia talks about the hottest man she's ever dated, and it doesn't sound like she's describing her husband at all.
No.
And then, suddenly, 30 minutes later in the movie, a helicopter shows up and arrests Chris Hemsworth. Because they're on the island too. They've circled back, and it's a twist. And they're like, those are the murderers. They've been arrested.
Then why is there still 45 minutes of this movie left?
It better be a fucking real... awesome twist. So then they go to ride kayaks. Steve Zahn, Timothy Oliphant go out in kayaks together.
To a little cave on the water.
Millia walks away, kind of just out of frame, so that the woman, Timothy Oliphant's woman, can look at the camera of the wedding and realize, remember how we said this would come back into play? That wedding photo you forgot and I forgot and everyone forgot? They show the bride and groom. They don't show us, the audience. They show her having a realization, and we just sit there, and we sit there, and we sit there.
She runs off. Mila sees she runs off, runs after her.
And, like, looks at the camera, and we see, like, a half frame of it, and...
Oh, that was a weird edit.
It's implied that Steve and Millia aren't the ones in the video. And I have trouble telling faces apart already.
I don't normally, however, I was also like that. It's just them. What's the issue?
Is it not them? Like, and it's grainy, like handheld footage, and they're in different hairstyles and outfits.
And this is a DVD quality.
So it's not them. And it is revealed this entire movie, Steve Zahn was not a cuck. He was a murderer.
And in their real relationship, he takes charge and
Millia
is a cokehead.
And she has to follow him. And their gimmick as serial killers is they kill someone and then they assume their identity. And according to Steve Zahn, that will make him live forever.
We get a 20-minute blue flashback. I fucking hated this moment. It is 20 minutes of no new information because we can infer, oh, they're the murderers. But instead we get a flashback from before the movie starts when they grab or they scout out this couple. They are in like a hotel room practicing lines, how somebody would say it, how their Mark would say it and stuff. There's a moment of them almost missing or somebody missing the boat or them on the boat. Like we get all of these flashbacks of things we've either already seen, but now with the context that they're not them.
Or things we didn't need to see, like their whole backstory.
Yeah.
Because again, this story isn't about the characters. It's just like this, who's the murderer? And the twist is it was the people you were following the whole time, which is like, who could give a fuck?
When you're doing a twist, you never want to write anything out that would purposefully trick the audience like this. If you're going to mislead the audience, it has to be from the privileged perspective of somebody in a scene. Like if they had framed when the main couple like go away to talk, if they had framed it from say Timothy Oliphant's point of view, and we just see that they're off talking and looking, we could infer as the audience, oh, they're probably suspecting Timothy Oliphant as the murderer. But instead, we get their privileged perspective, and it is them talking like that, and that scene only exists to dupe the audience. The audience is not given the keys to figure this out themselves. They are purposefully misled to try and deliver a twist, but instead all we get is a dissonance between the characters, their motivations, and their actions, and it's all bullshit.
So it makes you hate the movie, and then there's an extended gun sequence where Steve Zahn tries to shoot Timothy Oliphant. He gets shot, but he doesn't die. He gets out from the water. He grabs his knife. He gets in a fight with Steve. Millia Jovovich gets stabbed by the woman in the hand through the arm, and then gets cut up by the woman.
She goes to a helicopter.
She lives, but she is thrown in a helicopter. And then Steve Zahn
is chasing the wife. Or
both of them, and then he chases the wife down. People think the wife's on drugs, but then they're like, "No, you're probably on drugs." Because that's another twist: is they both love crack.
Yeah, they're both horrid drug addicts. And Steve Zahn's like, "What, are you kidding me? Like, she's clearly, like, me, a murderer? No way.
She's on crack." And the guy's like, "Your pupils are the size of dinner plates. You're on crack." And he shoots him.
Yeah, there's a group of people, and he's just like, God damn it. And he shoots a bunch of them. He shoots everybody in that scene except for the wife. Like, he's still dragging out.
And then Timmy cuts his hand open. And then a sniper just blows away Steve Zahn from the helicopter.
Yeah, there's a moment where all three of them on the ground are struggling. Steve Zahn and the couple that they're hunting, they're all tussling with knives and guns and shit. And Millia Jovovich, turns out she's in a helicopter now with the Hawaii State snipers. And it's just like, which one? You gotta tell me. I need to
Rainbow Warriors online.
Tom Clancy's Rainbow Warriors. Like, it's so funny to me because in that moment, the sniper keeps saying, I need verbal confirmation that I'm about to shoot the right person. I need confirmation. And she's like, that's the one. Are you sure? That's the one. Are you sure? And then she's like, no, it's not. And then the second Steve Zahn does anything, she's like, hey, it's that guy reaching for the gun. There's not a second like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Boom!
It's weird too. It's supposed to be her sort of like what is it called? Like redemption a little bit. Yeah, like she gets her partner killed, but she's still a serial killing bitch. Yeah, she likes crack. She's going to jail.
She has a moment where she's like, "That's the guy that ruined my life," because
Oh yeah.
led her down to this path of evil.
And then Timothy Oliphant, who's with his free-spirited wife, now bleeding out in a helicopter, but saved, proposes, because they weren't actually married. They were gonna get married.
Yeah, she makes a point throughout the movie to be like, oh, y'all are married? That's so nice. It must be nice to be married, Tim.
He's like, I'm gonna go kill a goat. That's what you're saying. I'm picking up your signals loud and clear, babe. One goat coming up. He's kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I sure would love a wedding. He's like, yup. Look at this
goat.
knife.
Wedding tent. I put up the tent.
Let's go get naked in the lagoon again. And Chris Hemsworth is never seen again in this movie. He was totally a red herring. He was on set for 2 days.
And they arrested him.
Our second movie.
That's it. I mean, do you have a takeaway from that?
A Perfect Getaway?
Yeah.
Like, perfect getaway with my fucking afternoon. Give me it back.
God. It really is nothing, and the twist of the movie, the one thing that you could say, or that you should say about a movie where it's like, oh, this is you gotta watch it for this twist, like the twist is so good, is bullshit makes me angry and I could throttle a small child.
Okay, not a large one. You'd be
No,
overpowered.
I would lose that fight.
He's too strong.
Two kids,
he seeks to usurp me.
2 kids in a trench coat, I'm losing that fight.
Okay.
Italian Job.
Forgot the name of the movie. Is a remake of an old movie, which I've heard is good. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen the original either, but I've heard great things about it. But I've also heard great things about this one.
Have you? From who?
My dad.
I had seen this one, once before years ago on like Netflix or something with my brother. Just on an afternoon, it got thrown on like over 10 years ago. So I had no memory of it. I just knew I had seen it. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It is a 2000s heist movie.
Donald Sutherland.
With Donald Sutherland.
That's who plays the dad.
Okay. Starring Mark Whalberg, Jason Statham, Mos Def, Seth Green, Charlize Theron. Is there anyone else I'm missing from the main team?
Probably.
And they're fighting Edward Norton, who, by my understanding, was forced to do this movie.
He was tricked.
Like some sort of contract dispute, some sort of whatever.
Like you have one more movie with the studio.
Yeah, like he made the movies he wanted to make, or like he was with them for something, and then they're like, "You're making this as well, by the way."
That's what this whole movie feels like, because like everybody in the movie, like you look at the main gang, there's like weird age differences. Like you would imagine, like if it's a team of veterans, they would all be about the same age, but everybody kind of bounces around. The whole movie feels like...
Are there? They all seem around the same age to me. They're 20, 30 something.
Jason Statham has always looked 40 something, and Seth Green feels like a very young 20 something. The ones that I would consider like around the same age would be Mos Def and Mark Whalberg, but I mean like...
Do you think he tried to talk rap with him on set? He's like, I used to be a rapper too, and Mos Def's like, yeah.
Oh, I heard.
Eyes front, buddy. Like, we got a scene to do. Oh, I'm sorry, my character's deaf. I can't hear you, Mark. So I'm method acting this one. I can't talk about the funky bunch.
They really made Mos Def half deaf.
They did.
His name is Left Ear because that's the one that works.
That's fun. That works for a gimmick.
It is.
Your demo guy blew his own ear out. That's, you know what? It's a heist gimmick. I don't know. Maybe that's from the original.
Maybe.
That seems... Everything in this movie, I have a theory, is at least co-opted and adapted from the original, because nothing else in this movie is smart enough, and so the things that happen in this movie, I'm like, you didn't think of this. You may have changed it, but this came from somewhere else.
The original.
Probably. So all those dudes, including Edward Norton and Donald Sutherland, are on a team, and they do a heist, and the heist is in Italy.
It's the Italian Job.
Whoa.
They say it throughout the movie. We do it like the Italian Job. And we have the context for what that fucking means.
And there's a safe with gold bars on the third floor of a building. The second floor is a home. The first floor is water. And so they put a boat in the water, and they set it up so that they know when the house is empty, they break in. And so they can blow a hole through the floor of the house and the roof of the house, the apartment, so that then the safe just drops 2 stories into the water, and then they get out with the boat. And then you find out that actually they let the safe drop into the water, and they take the gold on little, like, jet ski underwater things.
Yeah, they had...
Like little submersible handheld things.
Donald Sutherland scuba lockpick.
Scuba
safe cracking.
Yeah, and they take the gold while the boat, driven by Jason Statham, gets away. But even if it got caught, they would have nothing on them. So that's the Italian job. That's not the movie, but that's the opening.
Yeah, they then all end up in Switzerland out on a mountain.
They go to where the Olympic torch is, it kind of looks like.
Yeah, literally a mountain, and it says like 20 miles to Switzerland, and it's just like an arrow. They're just in the Alps.
They're in a cartoon mountain.
Yeah, basically.
Why'd we come here to drink champagne with our gold?
Because sovereign,
I guess so. And then
Swiss bank accounts.
Get drunk at higher altitude quicker. And so then they all go, listen, this was awesome and we're all now rich forever. Let's go. It's also $37 million, which to me doesn't seem like a lot of money.
Do you know what I would do for $37 million? I mean, split amongst 7 people.
7 people.
6.
6 people? Let's count them out real quick.
Donald
Sutherland. Marky Mark. Mos Def. Jason Statham. Edward Norton. Seth Green. Okay, 6.
Yeah.
37 by 6 is like $6 million. That's a lot of money, but that's not retire and disappear money. And that's kind of how the movie is treating, like, this heist was one last job.
What are you going to do with it? It's like, Jason Statham's like, I'm going to buy a car. Seth Green says, word for word, I'm going to buy speakers so loud it'll blow the clothes off of women. Mm. And they said, you're kind of a weird little freak. And Mos Def says, I'm going to buy a beautiful house in the southern Spanish countryside with a big library. And everybody's just like, you're a dork.
It's true.
But I love that. I want that house. That sounds beautiful.
So then Edward Norton goes, well, I'll just do all your guys' dreams. I don't have ideas of my own.
Yeah, is it?
That's the only foreshadowing in this movie.
Edward Norton is the one that says that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's the whole point of the movie.
I thought you said that it was Mark Whalberg that said that, and
no.
I wanted clarification.
Mark Whalberg doesn't say what he wants, but Donald Sutherland says, get yourself a wife so you don't live life old and alone robbing gold underwater like me. You know how my life sounds fucking awesome? Instead, get married and go do American Beauty.
Invest it. And that's what he says, is take this money and invest it.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Dude, if I was a bank robber, I'd be chasing that high. I'd die like that 90s LA shootout, dude. Like, I couldn't live a life after robbing a bank that wasn't just getting in gunfights and robbing banks. And that's not me trying to sound cool. That's me just saying I think I'd fuck it up and die immediately.
You would want to chase that high. It is an adrenaline thing.
That's like
adrenaline junkies find their highs in different ways.
Or I'd just spend it all on crank and I'd be done. I'd be like, well, I don't want to rob another bank. That was really scary. So instead, I'm going to do a heroin now. All
right, let's immediately overdose. Just one plunger of heroin.
Just in the Swiss Alps. We're like, what a good heist, boys. And you look over and I'm face down in the snow in a puddle of piss and blood.
You've got your own belt around your arm, pants around your ankles.
Another belt around my neck. Hand on my dick and a hand on the plunger into my balls. Shot a speedball. Going out like John Belushi. So anyway, Edward Norton immediately betrays them because they have a truck full of them and gold, and he takes the gold into his own secret truck with armed goons. And runs the truck off a bridge and just shoots the water for a while. He does shoot Donald Sutherland point blank. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, the fuck does it look like? Kablow!
Shut up, old man, and your investment bullshit.
I know.
I want
your plan
one of everything.
Sounds really stupid and lame. And so they all pretend to be dead. In fact, they are alive except for Donald Sutherland. And now they need to it's like a couple years later. It's like 3 years later.
Yeah.
They're going to heist the gold back.
I'm thinking about... Okay, so there's a scene at the very beginning of the movie where we get a phone call with Donald Sutherland, where we're introduced to Charlize Theron's character, his daughter. And it's worth noting now that as they go to heist, they need a safecracker. So they go to his daughter, and
he was a safecracker, and so she's following the family lineage. But
he was an incredibly safe cracker. Investing my money.
I mean, you get points for the effort, or like the construction.
I thought it was fine.
No, it is. It's good. It's like it came off the diving board, no ripple on entry. Demolition Derby's still cooler. Diving has a beauty. It just has none of the applause. But anyway, Charlize Theron now cracks safes for the FBI because she's the opposite of her father.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they do that.
When the FBI can't figure out, they shell out to Charlize Theron, who can do it. And we'll do it one more time later in this movie, but at no point in between will do anything of note.
No, there's a moment where she's cracking a safe in her underwear in a hotel room.
Yeah.
And Mark Whalberg says, "Awooga."
That's true.
Va va voom.
Oh,
and then she
geez.
maces him.
You're in your underwear? And,
Awooga.
it's true. Jaw hits the floor, tongue unrolls.
Eyes pop out of his head. He goes to the hospital because of it.
So they're like, we're putting together a team for revenge. That's this movie. And they're like, oh, okay. So we got to find Edward Norton. We got to figure out where he hid the money, how he hides the money. Let's get the team together. And so they don't have to like find each other. They just grab each other. Like, everyone wants revenge. Yeah. Charlize Theron, you want revenge on the guy that kills your dad? And she's like, you guys are scum who also are kind of complicit. And Mark Wahlberg's like, I didn't pull the trigger on the fucking guy. He hired me.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
And so she's like, all right, we'll do it. Seth Green shows up and he's like, I'm in Family Guy. I drive a motorcycle poorly and I just want to have sex once. What do you think that's like for him? Like,
he's at the top of his popularity at this point. He's got Robot Chicken and Family Guy, two very consistent, stable sources of income. He's just coming off of the Austin Powers movies.
Was he in those?
Yeah, he played the villain's son.
Okay. But like he is like every role, they're like, his agents call him up. He's like, Seth, I've got you another role. And he's like, do I get to have sex in this role? And it's like, nah, you're a loser again.
Prepubescent dork.
Yeah.
You're 30 and still have not hit puberty.
Yeah. All you want to do is just grab a titty once and then you'll die happy. You'll blow up like that blue guy from Watchmen. And so
October 27, 1984.
I touch a boob for the first and last time.
It's Chris Griffin on the moon. I'm tired of these people.
Is that your Chris Griffin?
Sure.
It's a really hard voice to do unless you're Seth Green and we're born with it. Does he have a wife and kids?
Oh, probably.
I don't know.
Nah, he strikes me as the kind of guy that kind of knows what he looks like, knows his delivery, and he's okay. Like, at least back then, like, he was just doing that, and that's what got him roles, and he was fine with that because they were he was in a movie where he had a lot of scenes opposite Jason Statham, who's like a big action star. He was in,
It's true.
big action movies and scenes.
You said back then, but I think back now. I don't like Jacob Elordi is a leading man now.
Who? That's a legitimate who.
Saltburn, he's the object of desire character.
I have never seen Saltburn.
Priscilla, he's
No.
Elvis.
0 for 2.
Okay, Austin Butler. He's Elvis in Elvis. He's the bike rider in Bike Riders opposite Tom Hardy. These are like the up and coming names.
Well, they're not doing a very good job.
Everyone but you knows these people. But anyway,
I know the name Austin Butler. Like, I saw a lot of commercials
he
for
was
Elvis.
Yeah. So, but anyway, You were saying Seth Green back then couldn't be a leading man. I don't think he could be either. If either of those dudes sounded like Seth Green, they would be like, all right, never had sex.
No, I think he plays the part well. It's interesting. I think I mentioned this while we were watching it. It was so hard because Seth Green to me never hit true mainstream popularity like these other guys. He was in big movies, but never in a role above like C-list. Like
C-list.
No, I mean like he's not even like secondary character in this movie. He's a part of the team, but he's probably like lowest rung on the team.
Yeah, he's the hacker.
Yeah, he's the hacker guy. He had different call days than anybody else because he was always in a different location, hanging out in an airport.
His character's name in this, by the way, is Napster because he's claimed to fame is he invented Napster and it was stolen from him.
And they casted the guy that actually created Napster to play himself in a brief flashback.
And if you know what Napster is, that joke might land.
It's like a media sharing like Pirate Bay website.
Yeah, I kind of knew, but I've never used it or nothing.
I think it was specifically for music.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because I got like sued out by Metallica or something like that.
That's the one, yeah.
So like I know of it from that, but I never used it. So I was like, oh, okay. Put Jason Statham back on the screen. His character's name is, I think, Handsome Rob, which is true.
Yeah, one guy's name is just Handsome. Left ear. Everybody's got nicknames, and at the beginning of the movie, Seth Green does not have a nickname, and his arc is that he's like, I want y'all to start calling me the Napster. Like, what? I invented Napster. He stole it from me because I was napping. And they're like, what are you talking? What? Okay, Napster.
Yeah.
They just go with it because they're friends, and that's what friends do.
So it's kind of a sweet little friendship. You know, they all kind of support each other.
Seeing.
Like, even Jason Statham, who's supposed to be like, this guy's kind of a loser. He's like, let's just give him the nickname.
Yeah, it's very fun because there's also a scene where they're trying to get this van, and there's a woman that's like driving the van, and Jason Statham and Seth Green are camped out. They're staking out this van. They're like, how are we gonna get? And Jason Statham's like, hey, watch this. Gets out of the van and just goes over and talks to her, and Seth Green's like, "Oh, I wonder what they're talking about." Like, "Oh, I'm so handsome. I'm Handsome Rob. Oh, what's your name? Let me stare at your tit to look at your name tag. You want to have sex?" And it cuts to post-sex between Jason Statham and this woman, and he just takes the keys to her van and leaves.
That's awesome. It's exactly how it works in real life.
If
Jason Statham walks up to you and is like, "Did you want a bang?" I'd be like, "Yeah."
But it's such like a perfect. It is exactly those characters and those actors, how they are cast, like to a T.
So I guess that's what this movie has going for it, is that everyone in it is like a fun... Even Edward Norton, who doesn't want to be there, isn't like screwing over the movie. He's like...
He's a fun asshole.
His character, he's like, you betrayed everyone and you're the biggest dick on the planet. He's like, got it.
If you liked him in Glass Onion, it's a very similar character, I feel.
It is. Like, Glass Onion's more that Elon Musk, I'm going to save the world, but it's that same level of, like, selfishness where he's just like, no, I want it. I'm a dick, but also an idiot.
I'm smarter than you. I've got the money.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Edward Norton's around. This is all in LA, and he's, like, trying to sell gold bars. He's still trying to liquidate these gold bars because they were... easily traceable. They're this super special gold that is imprinted with a
family seal or something.
That's like a dancer, like this recognizable. And so turns out Donald Sutherland was the guy who knew how to fence this shit. So instead he's just trying to like fence it through this Ukrainian pawn shop and stuff like that.
It's funny and it makes sense because it's like in this economy, if you just have 37 million in gold bars, you can't immediately offload that.
It's so valuable, it's worthless.
Yeah, so he's selling them like one bar at a time over the course of 3 years to this.
And then it turns out he's only hawked like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, he has a pile of gold bars and he can barely get rid of them. But we find out...
It's worth noting he does shoot the Ukrainian pawnbroker.
He strangles him to death.
Okay.
He beats him and then strangles him or something, and then maybe shoots him. I remember him like jumping over the table at him.
He kills the guy. It's worth noting he kills the guy.
But we find out he lives in a house. That's a mansion. That's the mansion Mos Def wanted, and he has the sound system that Seth Green wanted,
The car that Jason Statham wanted.
Like, he did steal all their dreams. And you know what? That's what I want from a movie like this. If a character says, I'll just steal your dreams, then betrays you, and then just literally buys the things you wanted, and then you cut to a scene where everyone's going, that's the fucking thing I wanted. It's like Charming in the movie where you're like, no, I get it. Like in the where fucking Perfect Getaway, it was like this movie doesn't realize what it is. It's just like a quick mystery of who's done it. This movie gets it, where they're like, we're a heist movie with these goofy, like paper thin, but in a good way characters. What's Handsome Rob do? Bang somebody and drive a race car. Got it.
Yeah. What does Left Ear the Demolition Man do? Blow shit up.
Got it.
Yeah.
What's Mark Whalberg do? Deliver the plot in a Boston street tough accent. Sold. I'm there. Mark Whalberg, another alumni of the Goodwill Grab Bag. We saw him in Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain.
And
a good one.
He makes... This is my secret. I like his stuff. Movies he makes are good to me. They're not monumental, but they're good.
Do you like Transformers 5?
Shut up. Why do you have to tear down everything?
I was just trying to share. I like, okay. I was just trying to share. Because that's a Mark Wahlberg movie.
I know. Jason Statham, another dude I like. Mos Def, I like his music, and he's not actually a terrible actor.
Yeah.
Like
everybody in this movie, I feel like, was locked in to the best of their abilities. They understood their character. They understood the movie.
Charlize Theron is the only weak point to me because she's the same in every movie I've ever seen her in, and I can't even think of the movies I've seen her in, but I've never seen her deliver a line that's anything other than like...
I loved her in Fury Road.
I forgot that's her.
Yeah.
She's good in that. I take it back. She's good in that. But I forget that's her because that's just Furiosa.
Yeah, because she melts into the character.
So that's the one time. But I mean, Furiosa's not in this movie.
No.
They're driving a car, but they're driving Mini Coupes.
It would be an incredible movie if they take Charlize and just make her Furiosa. Mm-hmm. Like, you killed my dad, and then she punches Mark Wahlberg with a robot arm.
But she didn't. He didn't kill her dad. The dude who shot her dad killed her dad. That's the one thing I hate in movies is when they're like, no, you were involved. And I'm like, I didn't shoot the guy. He's 70. If we go to, hey, we're going to rob a bank and he has rob these guys. We're going to go rob the mob and he gets shot. I'm pretty sure he knew the risk. He didn't have dementia. I didn't like, hey, Joe Biden, I'm running a heist. Well, you listen here, Jack. You drive the boat, Joe.
Have you ever seen these political satire books? I think they're called, the first one is called like Freedom Never Dies, I think is the name of the first one. And it's like buddy cop mystery starring Obama and Biden during Obama's presidency. Like Obama, the president, moonlights as a detective.
No.
The cover of the book is just Joe Biden wearing sunglasses driving this convertible, and Barack is like standing up in the car pointing like, follow them.
These sound like, what are these for children?
No,
or are these like incredibly racist? Like, that's the only way I can imagine this going.
Neither, as far as I know. They're like actual novels.
I don't know. Like,
I've seen them in Barnes and Noble. I think there was at least 2 of them.
Okay.
The second one is the cover is them like climbing up one of those like rope ladders to a helicopter.
All right. Biting political satire.
I legitimately, I have no idea if they're good or not. I don't know
if they're good or not. I feel like we can go out on a limb and say they're dog shit garbage. You know, guys, I've really been reading. I think we need to read this book at our book club. It's about, listen, hear me out. Obama is a detective. Joe Biden drives the car. Where are you going? I thought, okay, all right. Fine. Well, then here's my third recommendation. Percy Jackson, again. Why am I kicked out of the book club?
We're 40. We're tired of young adult fiction.
I am. So they set up a heist, and they've got all their little gimmicks where they can turn all the red lights green so they can drive routes down what they want.
I completely fucking forgot we were still talking about the Italian job.
They send Charlize into the pretend to be
Are you pretend to be a woman? What?
pretend to be the cable repair woman.
Yeah.
Go to Edward Norton's house. She goes in. Edward Norton's like, have dinner with me. And she's like, okay.
You're kind of a freak.
Then they reveal that they're all alive. This is the one twist in the movie where it's like, you're already alive, dude. Or we're already alive, dude. I'm losing him. And he's like, well, now you've played your only hand. You won't ever be able to rob me. And they're like, okay.
I'm untouchable. And then Mark Wahlberg punches him in a restaurant.
Again, it's like not smart, but it's what do you want from these movies where you're like, yeah, you did it. Like I get why I haven't heard like, I've heard once like, oh, I like this movie. If someone's like, watch the Italian Job, the remake, your dad's like, I watched this.
It's fun.
You watch it and you a scene like that where Edward Norton's like, I'm a dickhead. You can't touch me. And then he gets punched. You're like, cathartic. So they rob his ass. He's got a bunch of trucks hiding gold, and they put together their heist. And this is like really fast through the movie, but they're just like little character interactions. It's very, very typical heist.
They do, they have Seth Green, who's like, hey, watch what I can do. Beep, turns all the lights green. There's some car accidents. He's like, oops, but like in a sarcastic way, and turns them back to like normal.
They soup up some Mini Coopes.
And they do a shell game where it's like, oh, which coupe has the gold in it?
Yeah, they do a fun little chase sequence.
There's a really cool sequence where they keep saying we'll do it like the Italian Job, and they blow a street up where with the truck full of gold, they blow it up. And the truck drops at the same time as they drop this big billboard over it. So it just immediately covers up the hole. And Edward Norton, who's in a helicopter circling his truck of gold, sees it happen and then just says, where's my truck?
Well, he misses what happens. Because right as they cross a building is when they blow. So right as the helicopter loses line of sight, they blow.
I thought I legitimately missed the part where he like loses line of sight. I just thought he was wondering like it went down. Oh, where is that?
No, because he goes, keep my eyes on it, and then right as they pass the building, they blow. So anyway, they rob him, and Edward Norton, who like you pointed out killed that Ukrainian guy earlier. At one point, they talk to this guy who's called, I think, Small Joe or something like that, and he is big and very fat. One of my favorite things in a movie.
I forgot about Little Joe.
I don't know if it was Little Joe. Maybe is like a huge fat guy with beautiful long black hair, and he's like, "Hey, I got a wife who's like a skinny prostitute kind of," and he's like, "Listen, why'd you kill that Ukrainian guy?" And they're like, "We didn't kill it," and then they realize Edward Norton killed a Ukrainian guy. So at the end of the movie, Edward Norton tracks them down, and there's a helicopter chasing a truck sequence, a red pickup truck. It all leads to a train yard where Edward Norton's like, I've caught you. And then he turns around, and there's a Ukrainian mob there, and they're like, you killed our friend. And then they just take him away. And Edward Norton is going to be chopped into millions of little pieces over the course of a year, probably.
They're going to keep him alive as long as possible.
They're going to strap him to a missile.
Everybody has everybody laughs simultaneously or laughs in unison and says, there goes Edward Norton. He really got what was coming to him.
He's gonna be dog food slowly.
And he's just praying for a bullet.
Yeah. And then everyone lives happily ever after. Mos Def gets his house.
Seth Green gets his speakers, and a woman like twice his height because he's a small man.
Blows her clothes off.
And he also says awooga va va voom.
Jason Statham drives too fast in his new car, gets pulled over by a woman cop, and immediately is like, are you trying to bang? And she's like, yeah.
She's like he like lowers his sunglasses. He's like, hey. And she's like, oh, he's foreign.
Right here, right now in your back seat. He's like, the leather's new. We're doing it on the dirt.
Mark Wahlberg and Charlize Theron
get
end
married, basically, or like they're gonna.
They do what Donald Sutherland wanted for them. It's like because he said at the beginning, get married, settle,
invest and boink.
And they do that. They invest in boink.
They go to Italy and they ride around on a gondola.
Oh yeah.
So here's my question: do you like this movie? Because we mentioned it's enjoyable. It's pretty clear. The first one we were like, whomp whomp, shut up, get off the screen, boo. But this one, would you ever rewatch this? Like, you would
rewatch it? Yes.
Okay.
I liked it enough. Like, if somebody said that they were looking for a heist movie of some kind, they hadn't seen it, it's pretty fun.
It's fun. And it's really easy to watch. Like, again, it's one of those movies, like we mentioned, like, I'll blow a woman's clothes off or stuff. There's no nudity. There's no, like...
It's a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, but there's not even really blood. Like, some people get shot here and there. But you can. It's like... Mention those movies where you can, like, put it on while people are over or whatever, and you don't need to pay too much attention. It's actually a pretty good background noise heist movie.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Because it's not... There are some heist movies where you want to be paying attention to all the intricacies, because the way that it plays out is going to be beautiful, like once everything falls into place. But this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and then eventually they're driving through a waterway and Mini Coop's motorcycles are chasing them.
Yeah.
Jason Statham opens a car door into a guy.
Yeah. So,
how would you have sex with Jason Statham? In the dirt? In a car, at a hotel room.
Vertically,
like in the mechanic, hanging suspended off the side of a building.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cut the feed.